He's one of the top coaches in all of mixed martial arts, Syndicate MMA, but on May 16th, he's going to be in the corner of what could be the biggest fight of 2026. It is always my great pleasure to welcome in John Wood. Coach, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on as usual. I always appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, let me backtrack. We talked in December, so just a couple months ago, when Gina Carano had gotten back in the gym, and you were saying, "Man, she's looking great. She's fired up. Something could be on the horizon." Now here we are, February. Gina Carano is back fighting Ronda Rousey May 16th on Netflix. So be honest. Now that the news is out there, like how long ago did you know about this?
Um, there had been rumblings for a while, you know. So I've known Gina, Kevin for 20 plus years and been friends with them on a personal level for a long time. And so, they hit me up, I don't know, probably 6 plus months ago about starting to train, getting Gina back in and she wanted to start training again. So uh yeah, we linked up and we did it, and there was the rumblings pretty early on that this was a possibility, and here we go. So it's all all come together. It's one of those things that when you start to hear something of this magnitude and what it can, what it's going to be on, where it's going to be, the people that are involved, it takes a lot to get that going. So before you even start thinking about it or talking about it, you got to wait for the powers to be to make those decisions, and here we are, man. It all worked out, so it's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. Now, listen, this is a business. We all know it's a business. You run a gym. That's a business, right? But obviously, when you go out there and coach and you're in somebody's corner, like you want them to put their best effort forward, no matter what they're doing. You've done it with Merab. You've done it with Khalil Roundtree and all your fighters. When Gina came back, because it's been 2009, like that's
Yeah,
a long time ago for her last fight. When you
sure.
started working with her, was there somewhere in the back of your mind, like, I need to make sure she's actually ready for this?
Oh yeah, listen, like there we had that conversation today. There is no, hey, what I always have that conversation with every fighter. What is the purpose of why we're doing this? And it doesn't matter what the purpose is. It doesn't matter if it's for money, if it's for fame, it's to impress a girl, impress a guy. It all comes down to plain and simple winning fights, trying to win fights. If we're going out there and looking like dog shit, you're not going to get the girl. You're not going to get the money. You're not going to get the fame. You're not going, whatever the purpose is, you're not going to become a world champion if those are the things. So no matter what it is, it's always about find why the motivation is and then figure out how to make that work. And for me, we go out there to win fights. Our goal at Syndicate, our goal for every fighter should be, hey, we're going out here to win this fight. We're not going out here to just show up and look like dog shit. So if it was a money thing, if it was a this, if it was that, then it doesn't matter. The end game is still the same, And so I can tell you this, she's fired up, and it's all, we're firing on all cylinders already, and she's coming out there to win that fight. There is no intention of just showing up. Showing up's not good enough. Showing up for me isn't, even acceptable. It's we're going out there to win the fight. We've got a great team and coaches around us that we're I think going to put the best Gina Carano that you've seen, well, especially in a long time. But I think she's going to go out there, and she's going to do amazing things.
And obviously, she's been back in the gym with you guys for a couple of months. How much improvement have you seen? I mean, like I said, just like anything, you take time off, you're not going to be as sharp on day one as you are on day
Sure.
16 or day 30. But over these last couple of months, like how much improvement have you seen in Gina just working with her? Because we still got a few months till the fight.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got plenty of time to improve what we need to improve, but great, man. Like from day one to where we're at now, I'm super happy. We're on track and probably I think ahead of track. And the one thing that for sure is the fire's still there, the fight's still there, the competition is still there. She's not afraid to mix it up with the girls we have in the gym. She's not afraid to throw. The power is still there, the speed is still there. The thing I believe even before in her earlier career is that I don't know how much actual MMA stuff she did, so it's really she's kind of like a sponge now, absorbing things. There's not a lot of bad habits to break, so we're learning new habits, but she's picking things up very, very fast. Like I said, we've assembled a great team around her, and it's I obviously when this first came out, you have your, oh boy, this is going to be crazy. But the more that I've trained, the more that I've been with her, the more she's in the gym, I really do think this is going to be something special. And I think that you're going to see her go out there and go out there and do great things.
I've got to ask this question. I know you're not on the business side of things, John. You're coaching her, but I remember I've known Gina for many many years, and I think we did an interview. I want to say it was right around the 2014. She was promoting a movie. I got to talk to her, and of course, I brought up fighting again, and she mentioned like, hey, I might fight again. I know there was talks
Mhm.
about her fighting Ronda in the UFC, and I know that there was really talks about that. This came out today. I think everyone was a little surprised. Like MVP, Jake Paul, like kind of out of nowhere, Netflix. Were you surprised that this didn't end up in the UFC? Because like it seemed like timing wise, May 16th, and we got that White House card a month later. It's like
Yeah.
everyone's reaction has been like, why is this not on the White House card?
Yeah, and that's not my place to really speak too much on the business end of what goes on. And I know that I even saw Rhonda come out and say something that they were interested and they had they were trying to make it happen. But it just happened the way it happened, and I think it's going to be as big, if not bigger. I mean, Netflix is a massive platform, and those guys, they know how to promote fights. That's one thing with the Paul brothers and those guys behind it, dude. Everything they touch it's just a massive deal. So I don't expect anything different than this. I know that there was interest, and again, you can ask, Gina. I'm sure she'll be doing all kinds of press and things. But like I said, I don't want to get into the intricacies of the behind the scenes of what went on there. But I know that it had been talked about. And I know that Rhonda had, talked about it also too. And it just ended up where it ended up, and I think that between UFC or Netflix MVP is both, I mean, awesome platforms, and honestly, I don't know which one would be bigger for this fight. So it's pretty crazy to be able to have those two, kind of going at, where the fight's going to be. That's a great problem to have. And it just, like I said, it ended up with Netflix, and man, it's pretty crazy.
Over 300 million subscribers. I mean, that dwarfs anybody else out there. There's no. I mean,
Yeah,
look at the numbers Jake did with Mike Tyson.
for
I mean, this
sure.
is going. I mean, this I think on paper right now, and I'm not trying to knock anything else. Like on paper, this is already probably the biggest fight of the year, right? Like I can't think of any much bigger.
Oh,
Like
oh yeah. I mean, listen, I woke up this morning, I knew this was getting released, and I woke up this morning and I didn't think about it. And I picked up my phone and I was like, the hell is going on? And then I was like, oh, geez. And then every single thing. I don't think I saw anything on my feed other than Gina and Rhonda for the first couple hours that my phone was going. So, and then my blown up for all these guys, all you guys contacting me. And it's just huge, and I think, listen, the one thing, you're going to have your skeptical people, and you're going to have, that's just MMA and sports in general, people that are going to, say this or say that. I can tell you this, both these ladies are training, both these ladies still have it, and they're both going to come out there and put on a great fight, and the magnitude of it, like I said, just even today, love it or hate it, people are going to watch it, man. They just are. And Netflix is just such a massive platform. So it's crazy to be a part of it, and such a big part of it. But I'm excited, man. These are the things that I love these kind of challenges, and I love this stuff where these are the kind of things that get you up and get out of bed, and you're like, all right, let's go.
And I mean, listen, Coach, your job is to get Gina ready for a fight, but the reality is, like, there's just so much we can talk about with this fight. And I think it says a lot about Gina Carano that her last fight was in 2009 in Strikeforce, and that was before social media was what it was, like,
Yeah,
and the fact that here we are in 2026 and her name is still this big. Now, granted, she does Deadpool, she does Star Wars, she does a lot of
sure.
TV stuff. She's been out there, but I mean, what does it say about a person like Gina Carano? She hasn't fought since 2009, and like I said, that's before YouTube was really big. There was not Twitter, like that was Instagram wasn't a thing. And
Yeah,
here we are, and like this isn't like the Ronda Rousey show. This is the Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. Like this fight is as
yeah.
big as it is because of these two people, not just one.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gina is the OG first women's superstar. She's the first MMA sweetheart that we had. Everybody remembers her still, and obviously she's gone on to do great things past fighting. So, she stayed relevant. And it's just one of those things that everybody knows these two names. So putting them together, obviously Ronda has a huge name, Gina has a huge name. It's just a fight that, like, you could anybody who ever watched MMA is going to know these two ladies, and then obviously the hype around it's going to bring a bunch of new people in. But it's just massive, man, and everybody, like. when when she's in the gym and people come in, they're just like, oh, it's Gina, and like the jaw drop. She's still got a huge following. Like I said, she's one that thankfully for her was smart enough and lucky enough and all the things that she was able to parlay, past MMA. And I just know that, fighting is her first love. And I think that, she's really excited about this and the comeback is going to be greater than anything that's been done before. I think this is something that's going to launch both of these women back into the limelight, the spotlight, um, and they deserve it. These are two pioneers. These are two pioneer women that put women's MMA on the map. I mean, I think Gina, shit, she was, fighting for the 2 minute rounds still, the 3 minute rounds. Both these ladies were, it was back when it was illegal to have a 5 minute round for the women, and so they've just come from literally the beginning to now where it's at. It's really cool to see it come full circle. But I believe that this is going to just be huge for both of them, huge for the sport. Anything that promotes MMA, anything that gets our sport out there and more eyes on it, I think is great.
And coach, you've been on both sides of the coin when it comes to one of your fighters going in as a massive favorite, and you've gone on the other side where they're an underdog. Now, I think understandably so. Right now, I think the early odds say Gina's an underdog, and I get it. She's been out since 2009. I get it. Now that Ronda's fought recently, but still, I get it.
Yeah.
But do you kind of embrace that role? Because listen, going into a lot of the narrative is going to be, well, great fight, we're excited about it, but man, Ronda's just, Ronda's this and Ronda's that and blah, blah, blah. Do you embrace that kind of pressure and saying, we're going to go out there and kind of prove everybody wrong? Because you've been there before. You know what it's like to be an
Oh,
underdog.
absolutely. I prefer the underdog. I prefer it. I love that challenge. I love that, like, oh, you can't do this. It's not going to happen. Oh, that's the best. Those are the things that where I've made a career of working with fighters that were all underdogs that went far beyond what people thought they were going to do, and I truly believe this is going to be one of those situations. I really believe that Gina has the capabilities to go out there and shock the world, and that's what our plan is. This isn't just a cash grab of like, hey, we're going to do this. This is a woman, two women who actually want to fight, want to come back and get into it. And I can tell you that the fire is there. And I mean, again, I love the underdog role. I cherish that. I think that's the best spot to be in. For me as a coach, it really, like I said, it brings out the best in what I love to do, and it's great. The pressure is obviously every fight pressure, whether you're underdog or you're the favorite, it doesn't matter. The pressure is the same. It just gives you that little bit extra motivation to go, okay, look what we can do, and we're gonna go do it.
At her peak, like I said, I think the first time I talked to Gina, I don't want to mention the year, but I think she was getting ready. I think she was getting ready to do
Back in
a
the
K1.
80s.
Yeah, back in the day, she was doing a K1 fight before her first MMA fight. That's how far
Mhm.
back I go with Gina. She was doing
Mhm.
K1. So at her peak, she was an elite striker. That's what she was known best
Yeah.
for. She's a very elite striker. Obviously, Ronda's so well known for judo and her ground game. Now, I would never ask game plan, but just let me ask you this aspect. When you work with Gina, obviously you've got a jiu-jitsu coach now, Chris Brennan, very legendary guy around the sport. So you've got great coaches at Syndicate. How prepared are you in terms of like getting Gina ready for that potential ground game? Because let's be honest, like that's Ronda's game. Yes, she kind of got away
Sure.
from that a little bit late in her career, but like let's be honest, that's her game, judo, ground game. How
100%.
confident are you getting Gina ready for that part of it?
Very confident. I mean, it's a classic. Like there is no mystery, like it's a classic striker versus grappler type of thing. But this is MMA, and we've all seen crazy things happen in MMA. You've seen great wrestlers get out wrestled. You've seen great jiu-jitsu guys get submitted by, blue belts. You've seen great strikers get knocked out by crappy jiu-jitsu guys, or no striking. Anything can happen in this, and so we're going to prepare and cover every single thing that we need to cover and make sure that she's ready. Our job as coaches, myself, and like you said, Chris Brennan, who's coming in, has recently taken over the jiu-jitsu head coaching here at Syndicate. Couldn't happen at a better time. His two boys, super high level black belts, Lucas and Tyler Brennan will be coming into the camp. And we've got a bunch of good people. We've got a bunch of black belt judo guys and girls that we plan to bring into camp. So it really just comes down to, training. Everybody knows what everybody wants to do. And when you get into a fight, though, shit changes. One punch can change a whole game plan. One kick can change a whole thing. One takedown, all these type of things. So you never. I don't like to ever over game plan and make it so we can't do this. This happens, we're gonna die, or it's a very fluid thing. And I think that the pressure just need to alleviate that pressure and say, hey, we're going to get into a fight. Whatever happens, happens, but we will be prepared for those things. Obviously, you know, Ronda is a specialist on the ground and the judo and the arm bars. There's nothing like that. Gina's a specialist on the stand up, so. But again, this is mixed martial arts, so we're training for everything. My goal isn't to train Gina to make her so afraid of the ground that we can't be there, or so afraid of this, or so afraid of that, that's all we work on. I'm working myself, Chris, working to put the best version of Gina Carano in an MMA fight that's ever been. And that's what I think you're going to see. She'll be ready for everything. I feel confident. She learns incredibly. It's not like, she comes with a good base, like I'm watching her move and watching her defend and watching her defend takedowns and actually take people down. Like she's got a good ground game, she's got an overall good game. So we're just tweaking it up. We got plenty of time to make those adjustments and put the polish on what we need to put the polish on. But I'm very confident that you're going to see a very, very well-rounded Gina Carano when it comes to that fight.
And I mean, on the flip side of that, we saw the first stare down. I knew Gina was going to have a size advantage. I knew she was bigger than Ronda because I met both of them, and I know Gina's bigger. She definitely had some size on her today. And listen, we know the story on Ronda towards the end of her career. It was tougher for her to take punches. We know that. We saw it happen with Holly Holm. We saw that with Amanda Nunes. And what do they always say? Power's the last thing to go. Gina always packed a real punch for her size, and that was when she was cutting even more weight. She was cutting down to like
Yeah,
141, 135.
yeah.
Obviously, working with her in the striking realm, do you feel like that is an area where, like, if she touches Ronda one time, like that could completely alter the fight because that was her specialty? And we got to be honest, Ronda's ability to take punches, at least when she was fighting before, kind of seemed to tail off. Like after the Holly Holm fight.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you this, the power and the speed is still there. I've known Gina for a long time, long, long time. And man, she cracks. And the big thing for this fight will be how to use that correctly and make sure that she's got the kind of power that she doesn't even need to throw hard to touch you. She's got power that she hits harder than a lot of guys that I have. She really does, and kicks like a freaking horse, man. So it's about using those attributes smart. We can't just go out there and if you run into the fire just trying to knock somebody out, then things usually go bad. And they can go good too. We've seen it on both ends, but the power is there, the speed is there. Getting the MMA IQ on how to properly use that it's getting there. And I think that I'd be willing to say, like, if Gina were to touch most men and land full contact, she would drop a lot of guys still. It really is there. It's scary. And so it's just learning how to control, learning how to use that. And again, I don't think I think that even at 50%, she's gonna do some damage. So it's gonna be fun.
And I think it says a lot. When you talked about earlier, like, this is not just some cash grab. This is not just for attention. I mean, she could have run her own camp. She could have built a gym out of her backyard. She could have done a lot of things and just said, oh, yeah, I'm going to get in shape and fight Ronda Rousey. The fact that she sought out one of the top coaches, one of the top gyms in the world, I think that says a lot about how serious she is about this. Because obviously there's going to be those questions like, what are we going to see at 43? And she's been away since 2009. What are we expecting? I think it says a lot that she's like humbled herself. She's been back in the gym for a couple of months already. We
Yeah.
still got May. So, like, it seems like she's taking this very seriously.
Absolutely. And that was kind of the thing right off the bat that this is the first questions, I asked is like, what are we doing this for? Like we talked about earlier. And her goal is like she misses the fight game. She still loves to fight. She's a fighter at heart. She's still got it. I think that, she probably retired a little early. And so I think there's still that, that need to get out there and prove that she can still do it. And I know she can. And she's in here with some of the top people in the world, and doing just fine. It's obviously just getting used to the acclimation of MMA itself, getting back on the mat, all the bumps, the bruises, doing all these things. But I would, she's still very, I mean, just she's a go-getter, man. She gets in and gets after it. Half the time when we're working, I have to be like, Gina. settle down. Gina, stop. You're hurting the other, you're killing the other person. Stop, Gina. Like she's a goer. She really is. And I there's no doubt in my mind that she's going out there to win this fight, and like I said, I think she's put the best possible team around her, and again, I've known her for so long. It's so great. It's such an awesome opportunity to come back full circle, 20 years later and do this. But she's taking it very serious, as I'm sure that Ronda is. I don't think either one of these girls, that competitive fire, it doesn't leave people like that. It doesn't leave people that have that fighting spirit, and I believe both of them do. So I think, like I said, it's going to be a hell of a fun dust up.
It's funny you mentioned the word retire. I remember when I talked to Gina a few years ago and I said something about that. She corrected me. She's like, "Oh, no, hold on now. I never retired." She corrected me. So like, I think there's been that thought in the back of her
Yeah,
head. Like she never completely left the fight behind her. Like she was very quick to correct me. Like I never retired. I just stopped fighting. And I was like, okay, you're absolutely right. So I think there's always been that little grain in the back of her head that she could do it again.
absolutely. And again, I would have been very honest with her had she come in and just been, a pile of hot garbage. I'd have been like, hey, we probably, do you need the money? Because we'll do it for this, but if not, but it's not been the case, man. She looks great. She's taking her diet serious physically. She's training every day, twice a day. She's killing it, man. I mean, and she really is. I really truthfully believe deep down, I know she can win this fight, and she's going out there to do this. There's no doubt in my mind that, like I said, come May 16th, it's you're going to see something that I don't think has ever been seen from her before. I think you're going to see, even though it's so far down the road, you're going to see the best Gina Carano that's ever stepped into, a ring cage.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, this is going to be. I mean, this is a fight. This is a spectacle. This is such a big event. And listen, Coach, I know you work with an entire gym full of people. I know we talk a lot about Merab. We talk a lot about Khalil. But you have an
Yeah.
entire gym full of people. But listen, we can't lie to ourselves. It doesn't. It just feels special when something like this is happening, right?
Absolutely, it's different. I mean, we have fights all the time, and you get fight announcements all the time, and obviously with Marab, there's a lot of big, stuff around that. Always, get used to that title stuff, and those title fights. There's nothing bigger than the UFC, having a UFC title fight and the things that we've done with him. So you're prepared for it. But when something like this, again, you just kind of said, it's just like, so, oh my God, you have two MMA, pioneers, women's pioneers, they're doing it in such a big platform. And again, it's not some little thing that just went under the radar. You can just tell by today, it feels different. It feels special. It feels like it's going to be a thing, and I'm sure they're going to put a great undercard together. Um, but it really is cool, man. Like, this is one of those events that it's like, I'll sit back and tell my grandkids about, and it's awesome to be part of these things. And those are, like I said, these are the moments as a coach that you strive for, not just to be seen, but to like to step up to the plate and say, hey, I know what we can do here, and put this fighter in a position to win. So I love this stuff, and there's nothing better than having these moments. And for me, I always like, the bigger the moment, the better the result for me, like, of just being motivated to do it. So it does feel special. It is awesome. I'd be lying to say it's not. It's great, again, to be able to work with old friends and to be able to have these full circle moments. And I can't wait.
Absolutely. And listen, it's good for the sport too. Listen, we all know the UFC is the biggest. No one's going to deny that. But I think having an organization like MVP getting involved in
Yeah,
MMA is a good thing. Like that's a good thing for all of
absolutely. Absolutely. Like, the more fights that we can have, the more opportunities for fighters, the more money that's brought in. It just means a career for all of us. We need to have fights. We need to have competition. The UFC is by far the best in the business. No one's ever going to touch them. They are the gold standard. They do it better than anybody. But with that being said, we need people to compete. We need people to come in and to do this thing so that fighters have jobs, like with Bellator leaving and Strikeforce, and probably all these things that have been bought up and eventually acquired and then put out of business. It just hurts us. Like, we need, PFL needs to step up and make sure that they're you know thriving. Like, I want to see these places, all these organizations succeed. So if MVP gets in and makes a big thing, it'd be awesome. We need to be able to have fighters survive outside of the UFC. Everybody's goal is to get to the UFC, and that's great. But like during that process, you don't realize that like a lot of these guys are fighting for 500 and $500, $1,000. Like if you're in the regional scenes and you get paid over $1,000, you're rich, So the more the merrier. I hope we can keep putting on these fights. I hope MVP and the Paul brothers and these guys step up and say, hey, let's make this a thing. And hopefully it goes so big, Netflix jumps on board and let's do our own thing, because we need somebody with that kind of money, with that kind of clout and that kind of, that's doing it already in such a big way to be able to step in to make the next best organization. So, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for, other opportunities for fighters, and let's hope that it becomes something.
Absolutely. Real quick before I get you out of here, Coach, I mentioned Merab, of course, and I think we're all just waiting for Merab to get his rematch. I know you saw the news Peter Yan's had back surgery, delaying his return. Just be honest with me, like how antsy is Merab right now? Because that guy, like seeing him away from the cage for like 2 months seems like a shocker. Has it been have you had to put like a leash on him to keep him from going crazy right now while he's waiting?
Listen, if you called Merab today and said we want you to fight tomorrow, he's in. That's just Merab. Doesn't matter rain, shine, injury, no injury, this, that, and the other. The man loves to fight. He's in the gym every day right now, training. He was just sparring today. Looks great. Getting healthy. Everything is getting back to where it goes. We know we have some time, so trying to pump the brakes on Rob it's like herding cats. It's a difficult job. So you've got to let Merab be Merab and do Merab things. And the man is special. And like I said, I think that everything happens for a reason. And I think the time off is actually good for him to heal up, for him to get better, for us to be able to get back and reconnect and make sure that we're doing what we need to do for the next fight to make sure that we get that belt back. And there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to. Jan, is a great fighter, and nothing against him, but I know that I know what Merab can do, and I know what he will do, and I know that he's going to get that gold right back around his waist. So it's just a matter of obviously Peter's the champ, so we got to kind of wait and see for him to heal up and wait for see when when the dust kind of settles and clears when we're going. But I can tell you this that Merab will be ready and waiting, chomping at the bit. He already is. So.
Yeah, I remember, like, I was looking, I was like, because I know how much Merab loves fighting. I was like, who else can he fight? He's already cleared out everybody else. I was like, there really is no other fight. It's Peter Yan. They got to do the trilogy. I was like, who else would he fight anyways? Like,
Yeah, I mean, listen, if that was off the table, it wouldn't matter. He'd go back and fight whoever they told him. But as far as we know and what we've been told and everything is that we're getting the rematch. And that's just something, we've learned that mistake. I've personally learned that mistake of passing over a title fight with my wife right over there, when we had Shevchenko and things didn't go right. And sometimes it doesn't come back around. So, we'll sit out, do our due diligence. Merab is like I said, he is always ready and willing. He's in here training, doing his thing, helping the teammate gets better. He's ready to go. But I think the time is good, and like I said, there's a purpose for it, and you know. I'm just I've never been more excited to get back into it and get it, a rematch going.
absolutely. Well, Coach, I think I say this to you every single time we do an interview. I'm like, you're one of the busiest guys in the sport. Now you're even busier. You got Gina Carano coming back. So I really do appreciate always carving out some time for me. Obviously, I can't wait to see what she does in this training camp. Cannot wait for May 16th, like immediately. Because this is, like, I was telling the story today. I was like, I was at Gina's fight in Elite XC, the same card when Kimbo fought James Thompson. Because
Yeah,
like I said, I go back. And I was like, so like this is like awesome to like see Gina back in there fighting again.
that's
Like I
great.
go back with her a lot of years, so very excited to see her fight. I think it's gonna be an awesome, and it's gonna be awesome for the sport. You already saw the attention it's getting. So, Coach, sincerely, thank you for taking the time as always. Have a great camp with Gina. Look forward to see what she does May 16th, and I'm sure we will chat after the win.
Sure. I appreciate it, man. Always appreciate you having me on, and I'm always honored that anybody wants to talk to me. So thank you.